For any athlete, I think at the top there's all the emotions and it is a roller coaster and a long journey. To get to the top, to stay at the top is even harder.
Coming into 2014, 23-year-old Australian Caroline Buchanan held 2 World Championship titles and wore the dual UCI rainbow jerseys that go with it. One title in BMX Supercross and the other in mountain bike 4-cross. Caroline is only the 2nd female in the entire UCI history to achieve this goal. No stranger to being on top of the podium, this tallied her total to 5 World Championship titles and 15 national championship wins. 2014 would be the year that challenged her to hold on to her crown.
Caroline Buchanan, she's in lane number 2. She's got a strong hold on that red plate. She just needs to make it out of this race and get that overall title. But as this is BMX, anything can happen.
So good to be home. Shopping! I love my internet shopping. Because I'm away so much on the road, always get home to a nice pile of goodies. We've only been away a week, so it's just basically 1 week down to Chula Vista for the World Cup and then back home. So it's actually, yeah, this is quite an easy one. It's always the best part. Home in your own bed. Not sleeping in a hotel room and not living out of a suitcase. Barry is quite OCD, so he's got all these shoe rack. Everything's colour coordinated. Sewing machine, which you think would be mine, but we actually both use it. Barry's a bit of a gun, sewing his shirts. We collect a little note from basically each country we go to around the world. Singapore, Mexico. So our clocks, we got Australia, California, Alabama. California local time, my parents back home in Australia and friends, and Barry's family back in Alabama. Generally, basically 2 rest days a week and consists of whatever TV series we're up to at the moment. I think any athlete, the couch on the off days is where you live. This is one of my 2012 Elite Women's Time Trial World Champion jerseys and my medal. And then here is actually a mountain bike 2010 4-cross World Champ. This is a little Oakley case that we got. It's good to keep all the latest range of Oakleys in. This is our cover wall, Barry's Pool magazine cover before the Olympics. Yeah, the latest 2024 and a few more magazines to put up. Coming back from a World Cup, just jumping on social media, doing all the updates, and you know, BMX, it's nice to have that little 1 degree of separation. And at the beginning of the World Cup this year, my nanny came, first World Cup of the year in Manchester. My dad's actually from England originally, so yeah, my crazy nan, she met up with Liam Phillips' nan there. They exchanged numbers and pull up a tweet from Nanny Jan saying, "Your nan's just phoned me and asked me to tell you that she's so proud of you and sends your love, XXX, hashtag Liam's nan." Classic. That's what I love about BMX. I guess a lot of the behind the scenes things that people don't see is to be a professional athlete, there's a lot that goes on, managing your own websites and all the social media content, and now it's such a crucial, you know, part of the world and the industry that it's not just how you perform on the bike, but it's also what you're doing off the bike, how you're representing your sponsors, and that's how you can afford to be a professional athlete. So now I'm finding when I get approached with sponsorship opportunities or people that I'm going to, the companies, some of the first things they ask me is, you know, we want to see screenshots of the back end of your social media. We want to see those insights. how many page likes you've got, what reach your post is, how successful your post reaches are. Over the years, I've had a lot of different bike companies or majority male dominated companies as well that have said, you know, that either women don't sell bikes or athletes don't sell clothes that models do. You know, I think a lot of women in sport have heard it all, and it's actually, you know, the facts don't lie. It's interesting to see that the demographic is 83% of my following is male, 16% is female, and my biggest area is the 18 to 24 range, which is where all these males sit.
Caroline's year began on the Gold Coast in Australia. Having only raced one BMX event in 2013 and won, her focus is once again on BMX as the 2014 season is the start of the Olympic qualifying.
There's been a 4-year plan leading to the Rio Olympic Games, and part of that was 2013, getting back on the mountain bike and taking that off the wall, regaining that world title that I hadn't won since 2010 for 4-cross. 4 years is a long build up to an Olympic Games, and burnout is obviously something that all coaches and athletes are wary of, and knowing that I love variation, especially in my training and lifestyle, adding in the mountain biking in 2013 has been definitely a key element and very refreshing. My preference in the past for BMX, I think I've been renowned as a time trial specialist. The 2012 season I won 6 time trials in a row, including the BMX World Championships and the Olympic Games, so that's been a strong point in the past, but now I think I've turned it around and made my strong points not just my time trial. The season for the Supercross series is actually going to be quite refreshing and a new one for me. I haven't hit a lot of the venues. 2014 is going to be exciting, combining all those elements into 1 year and hopefully piecing it all together. I'd love to win the national championships as well as the World Cup season, so definitely dominating at the highest point is my goal for 2014.
I think Caroline's got to where she is because she has so much drive. She wants to do everything at 100%. She doesn't really half-ass anything, and she's 5-time world champion in 2 different disciplines, time trials, BMX racing, 4-cross. Like, that's such a big step to make.
I met Barry Nobles at a Denmark World Cup about 5 years ago and have been dating since then, and it's been really good. We definitely push each other. I guess it's hard not always bringing work home. Travel together, train together, and we're at racing together. Yeah, he's definitely one to push me. He's always the first one out on the track. He's a little bit of the wild man. He likes throwing in those backflips, and that's one thing. He's definitely pushing the progression of me, making me always challenge myself, and it's nice to have someone.
The drive, I feed off of it so much, and then sometimes I just can't even handle it. Pretty incredible to watch, just the drive she has, and it just goes all aspects of life.
I was born in the 80s with that summertime love, then changed the whole game. Like, what have I done? Out the gutter I come to touch the bright sun, and from the highest heights, motherfucker, I jump free in the sky of belief.
It's so important throughout the year to have that downtime. I needed to have that pre-season downtime.
I keep on my grind. I can do it anywhere I want to do it, and just sleep when I die. Explosive, ferocious, get up, get down that surface. Power to the people that have freedom in their focus.
You know, at the beginning of the year, you spend so much time in the gym and everything in that pre-season training for the World Cups, and you can't get out there to race. You're like a little caged tiger. You just want to quit training. I just want to go out and race and race.
So get up, get out and get something that's on the real. Forget what you were taught and show these people how you feel. Like, who are you to tell me how to live my life? 'Cause I won't give this up. These are my shoes, my view, my cue.
By the end of the season, you know, you do get a little bit burnt out, and you do need that time off to be able to reset for the following year.
Every day's another chance to ignite, 'cause I'm addicted. I'm addicted. I'm addicted.
Go to the lake, get on the boat, and have all those fun times together, and going skydiving, bungee jumping, all those things that I guess, as an adrenaline junkie, we all love. definitely, you know, hanging out with friends, having that time. We're lucky that our cul-de-sac is a little street full of extreme athletes and BMXers and, you know, ex-motocross people, and it's just really nice to have family sort of time like that. We all feel like a little family cul-de-sac. California. This is what we love about living here, just kids in the street on quad bikes. What's the technical way of doing it? Are you meant to put the shampoo stuff in first or later? Later. I'm made to ride a bike, not do washing. Let's just... Now that we're back from this World Cup, we've got a little bit of time to unpack, wind down, resettle, get back into the groove of basically training. Southern California has always been the home to BMX races. BMX in the 80s in the States was huge here, as all around the world. So lots of BMXers here. Still got Mara Stromberg, who lives in the area. Me and Barry close to this Paris track. Mark Willers, Sfiso Nalapo, quite a few riders that are around the area. California seems to be the place to be for BMX. 3 years ago, before the Olympic Games, it was that time where we both needed another base overseas. Southern California was the place to be. It's nice and central to Europe and Australia, and yeah, it's got a really good riding scene. This is always a rider's dream, to be able to have their own little track in the yard. And actually, when we were first looking at what yard we wanted here in America to have our little base, we looked at the overheads of what the yard looked like. We make sure we went at a house at the end of the cul-de-sac where the yard opened up and had plenty of room for that pump track. It's actually Mark Willer's Pro Gate. He asked us if we wanted to have a gate in our yard, and this has become the little sprint spot, gate night, into a pump track. The pump track's basically got a little bit of everything. For the guys, Barry has fun on it with his friends. I have fun on it with the girls who ride as well. It's nice just to come home to, keep our skills up if we feel like just getting out and going for a ride. We've got a little mini berm jump here, which is actually probably one of my favourites of the track. If anyone remembers the BMX Plus cover that me and Barry had, this was the berm jump photo where I was basically coming around, Barry was jumping over the top of me, and that was our cover shoot. It's always evolving. Barry just started putting another line off the back out of this corner, which we're going to build in properly and make it loop around, and yeah, no grass in this yard.
The Supercross series kicked off in Manchester, England in April. Because she didn't compete in the 2013 World Cup Series, this meant Caroline had to qualify into the event. This didn't give her any difficulty, getting 2 firsts and a second to come in second overall. The following day, it was on to the motos.
Some races you battle your mind. First 2 rounds, I felt like I was making a lot of mistakes that I shouldn't have.
After making some mistakes, resulting in a second and a third in the first rounds, Caroline wasn't content and had a mental reboot.
Took myself aside after the 3rd round, had that little moment, no more mistakes, had that perfect lap in the 3rd round, got a good qualifying time, and then that progressed the momentum from there to have a really good semi-final.
Here we go with the women, semi-final number 2, stop number 1 of the UCI BMX World Cup Tour. The gate is down, and you can see lane number 1 has got a lot of power, a lot of speed, but they're going to meet up in the middle. Right now it's going to be Caroline Buchanan. Looks like Brooke Crane's in that 2nd place spot, and it's going to be Green in that 3rd place. But right now Caroline Buchanan has a decisive lead.
And Caroline making it happen from that gate onward. She's looking to keep it smooth.
Back on form, she stormed through her semi, coming in first. Then it was on to the main event.
I'd come into this race prepared. It was the first race of the World Cup season, and I'd put in the work, fastest lane pick for the final, and then executed the race.
They're all going to be battling bar to bar with the #1 plate from Australia, Caroline Buchanan. The gate is down, and again, it's going to be a lot of power from the inside. This time it's going to be Buchanan, but look at Sarah Walker pops out there. Right now, it's going to be Caroline Buchanan's race to lose it. She's got a decisive lead.
Caroline Buchanan taking the win, super pumped.
The greatest successes are when you have that challenge and you overcome it, and that's always so much sweeter than an easy win. So next stop will be Holland, and a quick turnaround back to Australia for the National Championships.
Back in Australia, Caroline took another win, this time at the Oceania Continental Championships. This resulted in her being crowned Australian National Champion, a title she'd been after for 3 years.
In Australia, our series starts early on in the year. There's not too much of a break in the off-season, it's right into it, January. We're often running into the Australian season through to our national championships, where I won the national title as well as the Oceania. So the ball was rolling. I was, kicking off the season really well. My nutrition's varied over the years. Leading into the Olympics, I definitely switched up my nutrition a lot. I was 10 kilos heavier, needed to drop quite a bit of that weight and help out my power to weight ratios. So I actually went onto a gluten-free diet, which has been really helpful. Then yeah, eating a lot more clean, being that true professional athlete and having all of the 1%ers.
High performance coach Wade Boots has been working with Caroline for the last 6 years.
Caroline really comes across as, wants to be world's best and get a little bit deep into things within the training, and I like getting into the analytical stuff, and she really digs that as well and likes to understand why we do things and how we can do things better. Just dedicated, passionate of being the best she can be, and I try to influence the athletes these days to just be better than what you were yesterday.
We generally hit the gym about 2 to 3 times a week, depending on the time of season that we're in. Gym's a really important part for BMX. We're in a fast, explosive sport, so building that strength and that power is key to get out of the gate and out of trouble. It's just good to have that, that mindset of this is part of what, builds the machine that makes you win. It's a training program that varies throughout the year depending on what phase we're in. Everything from building the strength in the off-season, going into power a lot through the mid-season of the year, and in the taper it's definitely making sure all the speed picks up and you're firing for a race. All the supplements these days, you've got to know what you're putting into your body with the ASADA and the world doping that we have. You've got to know and work with trusted brands, so I know what I'm putting in and what I'm going to get out of it.
After a win at Manchester, Caroline was topping the rankings, going into the second stop on the tour.
Went through a little bit of an emotional kind of ride, from having a high of winning the first race, a bit more of a low at the next race in Papendal.
It's going to be a rough weekend. Looks like we're dealing with rain showers, sunshine and wind.
The event in Papendal, the Netherlands, was plagued with bad weather. Getting off to a great start, Caroline took the win in the time trials, boding well for her ending up on the podium on race day.
I came into the racing today feeling good and prepared, knowing that the rain was going to hit again. I won the time trial, which I felt really good about.
The following day, the weather took a turn for the worse, and the main event was delayed due to torrential rain. The race was eventually held throughout the day in the sporadic clear patches that appeared amongst the rain clouds.
Looks like Caroline Buchanan made some pass and is going to qualify to this main event.
Caroline steadily managed to work her way through the main event. Then it was time for the finals.
Plate number 1, world champion in the UCI BMX of 2013 from Australia, Caroline Buchanan.
Riders ready, watch the gate.
So the gate is down, and look for a lot of the power to come from the inside. I think it's going to be Mariana Pajon, Caroline Buchanan, but they're all going to be chasing Laura Smulders around this track.
Having left her inside open on the third berm, Hernandez took advantage and swooped.
Looks like Caroline and Stephanie battle at the end.
It came down to a photo finish.
On the line, we both didn't know who was going to get that photo finish, and Hernandez got it. When I get those 4th positions, for me it's almost as bad as 8, really trying to get on that podium every time.
With a 4th place, this meant Caroline's lead in the overall was narrowing. Now she was just 30 points ahead of Laura Smulders. With the next World Cup event less than 4 weeks away, the Australian team stayed on the road traveling around Europe. The plan was to turn up to Germany early and get some much-needed practice on the Ultra-Tech Berlin track. The positions at the top of the leaderboard were very close. This event was proving pivotal for Caroline to keep her dream of winning the overall alive. Caroline had a bad week coming into the event, battling some personal issues.
I knew coming into that Berlin track that it was technical. It was going to be a strategic race. There wasn't much room for passing. The track here this weekend, it is very different. It's a mixture of wood, a mixture of these ramps, the dirt, the hips, you know, big step-ups, tight turns, little sections that really feel like four-cross.
Continuing her winning streak and getting off to a great start, Caroline took the win in the time trials.
Over a second, fast and then the rest of the ladies. Give her a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Caroline Buchanan from Australia.
The following day at the main event, the race was dogged once more by rain. Late in the day, the downpour subsided and the racing went ahead.
Right now, they're all going to be chasing Caroline Buchanan from Australia.
Back to her winning in smooth ways. Another consistent lap. She is riding on a high.
Would Caroline's resolve and determination see her through to take the win? Or would Olympic gold medalist Mariana Pajon prove to be a fight too far? It all came down to the final.
And then we get to the 2 heaviest hitters in this class. That red background, #1 plate, indicates she's a badass on a bike. That's Caroline Buchanan from Australia. And then in lane #1, 100, Mariana Pajon, the golden girl of BMX. But here we go with the elite women's main event for stop 3 on the Supercross circuit. The gate's down. It's going to be a good battle from the inside.
On that first jump, we managed to hit, and I cased the first jump, and I knew from there that I just had to sit back and relax. And there was 3 areas which I knew that I could potentially pass.
The race is on. Caroline is not going to be happy with second place. She wants to win. She's not going to let Mariana out of her sights, but she has very little track to get the job done.
I wasn't close enough for the first 2 passes, and when we came into that bridge, I read her body position and I knew that she wasn't going to hold that inside on the last corner. I saw that position and that opportunity, and I went for it.
Let's see if that inside line works for her right now, and it does. And that pass worked for her perfectly.
Caroline Buchanan is the winner of stop #3 here in Berlin, Germany.
Caroline, what an achievement. You are super emotional right now.
Yeah, it's personally been a very hard week this week, and I think I'm just really proud of myself. Yeah, just proved to myself you don't need sleep. You can be in the worst headspace possible and you can win, so I'm just really proud of myself.
At the finish line this weekend, I was very emotional and I had nothing left. That was all my energy went into that final. That was everything I had, and it's been a really long week and a challenging week, and despite what happens at the end of the day, I'm here to do a job and I'm here to win, and if you put everything behind you and focus on what you really want, you can overcome it. today I was here to win at all costs, and just had to remember that this was Caroline Buchanan, the world champion. I'm turning up to race today and I need to put my personal life aside, and there's a lot of fear, but I'm never afraid to fail. So I always want to succeed, and I'm ready to fall if I want to succeed.
Caroline had managed to extend her lead for the overall, but with only 110 points in it, there was still a long way to go to secure the title.
Next race is the World Championships, so very excited to go home and press the reset button, see my family, see my friends, see my French Bulldog puppies, and just switch off. It's been 7 weeks in total that I've been living out of a suitcase, so I'm ready to go home, unpack my bags and reset for that World Championships where I really want to win. My family are really the backbone. They're the ones that, for any elite athlete, it's a hard road to get to the top where you can start having your own sponsors and earning that money. So they were the ones, the piggy bank for years, the support network. They were the ones that pushed me from the beginning.
Coming from a sporting family, Caroline was 5 when she followed in her brother Sam's footsteps and got on a BMX bike.
Came from a cycling background. My dad, he's from Wales in England originally, so he was in track velodrome. That's where I get the sprinter's genes from. My mum was always competitive as well. She played squash. And my brother, Sam, he was actually the one who got me into the sport at the age of 5. I've always been into sport, anything I could do, tennis, taekwondo, soccer, netball. Admittedly, I was a little tomboy that did anything my brother wanted to do, whether it was climb trees or play sport.
It took a little longer to get on the 26-inch wheels when a deal with a friend led to her trying out riding a mountain bike. She picked four-cross and loved it.
At the age of 15, I got on a mountain bike, and it was just by mistake. A little bit of a bet with someone, with a friend, and I fell in love with that as well. Got into four-cross originally, a little bit closer to BMX, very similar, and then got on the downhill bike and challenged myself there, which couldn't be any different to BMX. It's a lot harder to go back to a BMX bike than it is to get on a mountain bike. So when I transfer back on a BMX, that's the challenge. The bikes are a lot smaller, tracks are a lot smoother, and they're a lot more twitchy. But I wouldn't give it up. I love being that all-rounder. From there, anything two wheels, whether it's mountain biking, four-cross, downhill, BMX, skate park, you name it. I just love being on two wheels. Buchanan Next Gen is basically a team that I launched. It's a all-girls team, and it consists of, at the moment, Paige Harding and Michaela Rose, and I wanted to give back to the girls and create a pathway and mentor them, and they're both reaching for the top in the sport, and I really wanted to break that mould of support for women in sport. So they're aiming for 2020 Olympics and 2024, and the plan is to basically continue to grow the Next Gen team and bring it into this dominant sort of pathway for women to get to the top and excel.
To support her Next Gen team, Caroline ran an online auction, selling off BMX items to raise $10,000 to pay for Paige and Michaela to attend the World Championships in Rotterdam.
We always said to our children, give back to the sport, but we didn't expect her to give back this quickly or this much. We're just over the moon with what she's doing, and to support girls in the sport and to give them the opportunity to go to World Championships like this is just unbelievable.
Coming into the Worlds as defending champion, Caroline was eager to hold on to the rainbow jersey for another year.
You know, I'm always striving to be on top, and going into that world title as the reigning world champion, that was my goal, was to get back those rainbow stripes again.
She got off to a great start in the time trials, but narrowly missed first place, coming 0.02 seconds behind Laura Smulders.
You always just kick yourself when it's so close, especially when it's for a world title. I guess it's just spurring me on for tomorrow.
The jump into the first berm had been proving difficult for a lot of the riders throughout the event. Misjudging it was having disastrous results. Looking good in the first 2 runs of the motos, then disaster struck in the 3rd.
She took a little tumble in that last race. We've had our physio check her all over. A bit of soreness in the arm, a little bit of bike dramas, but that's all been taken care of.
Caroline Buchanan in lane 1 went down hard. You can see the bandages on her wrist.
True to form, Caroline was soon back on her bike and came first in her quarterfinal. It was all looking good.
By the time I got up for the semi-final, I was quite dizzy by that point. Felt like I was going to puke, just getting waves of that heat, and I think shock was starting to set in then. On the gate in the semi-final, I was in lane 2 and I saw about 3 number 2s, and I don't want to say I gave up then, but I knew that a pro wasn't going to get around the lap too nice.
Climbing up the start hill in the semi, shock kicked in. It was the end to her day and of her stripes for 2014.
And the defending world champion, Caroline Buchanan, goes out.
When you have those highs, it's easy to carry momentum, and when you don't have those highs, it's hard because you feel like you're down here and you're trying to be up here. So those are the challenges as an athlete, to take those adversity and rise above it and use it as fuel for the next challenge. My main focus of the BMX World Cup season and wanting to win that, you know, I knew I'd have a little bit of a downtime after the BMX World Championships and could go with Barry to Crankworks. For me, mentally, that was such a nice break to just shut off.
The gate drops, Caroline Buchanan, she is in front already, look at that, she's 2 bike lengths ahead.
Caroline, though, putting down the pedal strokes every little place that she can. So like Barry, she's just putting down the power at the top to bottom.
There's no pressure, there's no expectation, there's no Olympics, there's no points. It's just me out there riding my mountain bike.
Put your hands together for Caroline Buchanan from Australia, coming away with the bronze out here at Crankworks.
You know, the bit of a roller coaster that it had been throughout the year, and all of the eat, sleep, breathe, train, BMX and get on the mountain bike and just enjoy riding my bike again.
Caroline Buchanan, she needs to stay focused. So does Jill Kintner. Who's going to take this one? Buchanan. She's going to lead this one out, the Australian rider.
So Caroline Buchanan getting the unofficial win right there.
Me and Barry both did really well. We had the first time that we'd both won and both stood on the top of the podium together.
Here we go. Barry Noble's the national dual champion, the world #8 BMXer from 2013. He's going to take the win. Thomas Lamone goes second. We are going to have a Mr. and Mrs. on the podium.
It was just one of those fairy tale nights. We finished and then it poured down rain afterwards, and that was the nicest moment. It'd been sort of 5 years coming. Me and Barry had never stood on the podium together. So this is my newest little signature DK balance bike, which is coming out in the next couple of months. It's basically, yeah, new to the world of cycling. This is a grassroots where it all begins. 2 to 5-year-olds can now get on little bikes. The difference between a little balance bike and a regular bike is they don't have the cranks. So the kids are able to start younger, really learn their balance. Just as they've started walking, they can basically learn to balance, learn to push it, then they can sit down and then they can learn to scoot, run along, and then they can put their feet up on these little back chain stays. So I always want to get more kids into the sport, and this is where it begins. This is the first signature product that I've had, and DK asked me, you know, if I wanted a normal size bike, signature bars, you know, I had the option of anything, and it was a no-brainer for me. You know, what I'm doing with kids and Buchanan Next Gen and the whole next generation of BMX is what I'm really pushing. This is where it all begins. We're coming into round 4 of the World Cup season here in Argentina. We just got on a flight here from Buenos Aires to the Santiago del Estero airport, and basically, yeah, I've come in with a DK little bike. We're going off to a children's hospital today. We've just built it up and ready to go and check it out. I wanted to do something special, so coming to the children's hospital today, giving them a bike and crayons and stickers, and yeah, hopefully seeing a lot of smiles on their faces.
Caroline Buchanan, esa es la
Hola.
campeona mundial de BMX.
This is a kangaroo from my country.
Ace. Hola.
That's cool. It's been a real sort of humbling experience and an eye-opener and a good way to start a World Cup.
The pressure was on coming into the 4th stop on the World Cup Tour. Caroline was still riding with the rankings leader red number plate, but Hernandez and Smolders were hot on her heels. With 225 points up for the winner, one false move and the leaderboard would quickly change.
Who knows what could happen here as we move on today's event. There's a lot of points still to be earned on the tour between this race and the finals in 2 weeks in Chula Vista.
First off came the time trials, where Caroline managed to 2nd overall, coming in behind Olympic gold medalist Mariana Pajón. Moto 1 was a disastrous opening to the racing, with Caroline having problems with her gate start. She came in 6th.
It's definitely not the way Caroline Buchanan wanted to start things off, breaking her way down that starting ramp, but for Laura Smolders, she was definitely on fire.
In Moto 2, she got it nailed and came 1st, ahead of title contender Laura Smolders. Laura then took back the lead in the 3rd moto, leaving Caroline to come a comfortable 2nd and qualify through to the semis.
We'll get ready to see who's going to make that main, as here we go with semifinal number 1 for the elite women. Mariana Pajón, as always, has an incredible gate start, and then Caroline Buchanan's right back there. A little bit of a bobble's going to put her back.
Title contender Hernandez crushed out in Semi 1. Caroline held on, managed to avoid the carnage, and came in 3rd. Laura Smolders, the other overall challenger, got a bad gate start and also didn't qualify through in her semi, taking some of the pressure off Caroline. Then it was on to the main event. With only 1 stop left on the tour, it was crucial to get a good result to widen her rankings lead before going into the final event of the season in Chula Vista, California.
It's going to be a great battle with these women, getting ready for gate call for the elite women main event here in Argentina.
It didn't go as planned. Once more, the gate gods were against her and she got closed out coming down the start hill. With such a big jump at the bottom of the hill, this made it impossible for Caroline to clear it. She came in 7th. Her rankings lead was shrinking.
Mariana Pajón is gone. She definitely wanted to have the win here, and there she goes from start to finish in that 1st place spot. She just gained a bunch of points on Caroline Buchanan.
Just coming into that World Cup, I felt a little bit burnt out from everything. Definitely, I guess, another little low similar to Holland in the overall scheme of looking at the World Cups. I knew I had to sort of pick it up for the last round in Chula Vista and regain myself and regain that mindset and bring back the mongrel and that fight which gets you to the finish line. This is already a calendar of next year's 2015 schedule, so working with my coach and everyone, we're always planning the year in advance, and we've got every race from the Australian season in January right through to the races in February, the first World Cup, which is going to be in Manchester in England next year in April, Holland, Euro round in France, on to Denmark, right through to Sweden, the World Champs, which are going to be in Zolder, wrapping up the year in Argentina, and the last one in September again in the US. So yeah, we're in 2014, 2015 is already on the laptop, and the training plan's coming out already. One race that I probably let slip would have been Argentina. I definitely brought my B game, not my A game there, and that would be probably the one race which is really kind of eating on me, that I'm glad that we've got one more stop in the World Cup season to clean up those mistakes and go out on a high.
Welcome to the UCI BMX World Cup Finals live from Chula Vista, California. This is the finale of the 2014 season.
2 weeks later, the BMX Circus had reached the final stop on the tour. Chula Vista, the Olympic Training Center in Southern California, and home to the replica London Olympic track. Having won at London 2012, Colombian Mariana Pajon feels very much at home here. She was going to give Caroline a run for her money. Not getting the result she was after in Argentina, Caroline still topped the leaderboard. Her gap had widened to 150 points, but with 225 up for grabs for the winner at Chula, it wasn't enough of a lead for her to sit back and relax. There were at least 4 other girls in the running.
I think you can never come into an event too comfortable. We do an extreme sport, you can never get lazy out there on the track because it will eat you up. I think it's just like downhill. If you stare at the tree, you'll hit the tree, and I think if you're shooting for 5th place, more than likely you'll get 5th place.
Pajon got off to a confident start and took the win in the time trials. This was it, the last chance for Caroline to take the overall for 2014. But first she needed to make her way through the motos and hope that her challengers didn't. It was all coming down to the line. Caroline came up against overall contender Laura Smolders in her motos. In the first run, Smolders took the win, leaving Caroline behind in 3rd. She clawed it back in the second run and took the win. It was all down to the 3rd. Smolders took the win again, leaving Caroline in 2nd position in her heat as they moved into the semis.
Smolders with the win on that lap. Buchanan.
The way the points were stacking up for all the contenders, it meant that if Caroline qualified into the main event, she would take the overall. She had to make it through in at least 4th position in her semi and then cross the finish line in the final.
The woman in control of that title chase, it's going to be Caroline Buchanan. She's in lane number 2.
Pressure can get you to that final moment and all the expectation and everything, but it's not over till it's over.
She's got a strong hold on that red plate. She just needs to make it out of this race and get that overall title.
She needs to get into this final. Her main goal is the overall Supercross title, so this lap is the crucial one. Once she's in, it seems like she's got enough points to kind of take it over.
So let's see how things go out in semifinal number 1 for these elite women here.
Riders ready, watch the gate.
So the gate is down. It looks like Mariana Pajon got her signature great start.
Coming out the start gate, the first straight gave Caroline some difficulties, and she ended up on the bubble, in 5th position coming into the 2nd straight.
Caroline Buchanan stuck back a little bit. Buchanan sits outside looking in, and a little bit bump there is definitely not going to help her.
A bump with French rider Magali Potier on the pro straight didn't help, but she managed to step it up a gear and sailed through the end of the 2nd straight, coming into the 3rd berm in 4th position. It was all she needed. Now she just had to hang on to the finish line.
Caroline Buchanan, by the skin of her teeth, makes her way into that main event, and I believe that right there locks her up for that overall title. Those other girls really gave her a run for her money.
If I can simplify things as much as possible, and that's what it came down to. Just I'd look at my red gloves, my red leader plate, and just red light, and that's all I'd focus on, is just getting out of the gate. You know, I knew from there that I'd done the work, I'd done all the training in the pre-season. I knew that my body knew what it had to do, just to focus on the start and get out. All I was thinking was red plate, red light, go. I just kept it really simple, and that's one thing that works with me.
Having got through her semi, Caroline had the points to take the overall for 2014, but she still had to get through the final without getting disqualified. This meant she had to cross the finish line in at least 8th place.
As we get ready for the final here in Chula Vista, California, the last race of the season for these elite women.
Having ensured she qualified through to the finals, coming in 4th, this meant Caroline didn't have a great lane pick and ended up on the outside in lane 7.
We definitely think that win is going to come from lane 1 or number 2.
I have a feeling these two are going to be too worried about themselves, and maybe Caroline from the outside can have a clean lap.
Riders ready, watch the gate.
But right now what's happening is Caroline Buchanan blasting all the way from lane 8, but it looks like Mariana Pajón, and just as Mike said, Elise Post taking it upstairs.
Caroline had a great gate, went wide on the first berm, but showed she had the second straight dialed, making her way up the pack. She got it nailed on the third straight, passing Post on the rhythm section, and making it through to claim silver.
It's going to be Mariana Pajón with that win. Caroline Buchanan definitely wanted to finish the season off strong. She does it with a second. Pajón takes the win. Buchanan takes the title. Post takes that last spot on the podium. What a great race for those women.
Mariana had an amazing race and she was uncatchable. I managed to get around Elise Post and just crossing the line knowing that I'd got on the podium, I'd achieved the goals that I wanted to achieve this year.
Second place for today, first place in a lot of people's hearts, Caroline Buchanan from Australia.
It's a lot easier to mentally prepare for a one-off race, but when you're talking 5 different stops around the world and an entire series, I think it's a test of more a mental toughness and that mental strength to be consistent the entire year.
And your series winner out of Australia, Caroline Buchanan!
That wrapped it up for the 2014 season. Now it's time for Caroline and her team to focus on 2015 and the lead up to the Rio Olympics.
We're 2 years out from Rio, and what we do next year is going to be a test for what we're going to do in the Olympic year. And if it works next year, we know it's going to work in that Olympic year.